Graham,
Hello.
we are on.
Good.
How you going, man?
Great.
Thank you for...
Good to have you here.
Yeah, good. Thank you for having me, honestly. Thanks for welcoming me into this beautiful place you have.
Yeah, thanks.
Birds of prey. How did you end up here? What's the story? I want to know the origin story. How does someone... Who do we have here?
This is Sabrina. She's a wedge-tailed eagle.
Okay.
The journey is long. It's a long journey, actually.
Yeah, I could imagine.
and I'm still learning to this day. It's a big learning curve when you get into birds of prey. So it originated... I'm actually a Kiwi back in NZ, and I come from a hunting family, which is a bit ironic in a way because falconry is hunting as well. And my father was a conservationist, so that's a bit of a contradiction too, I suppose, hunting and conservation, but it goes together.
Yeah,
interesting.
Because I've had a hunter on, a professional hunter, and he does tanning as well. I think it adds a level of respect and appreciation if you know both sides of the coin, because then you can ethically hunt as well, and you can do things the right way as well. You know?
And like if you look at say a lot of bird hunters, it's not really my scene unless I've got a peregrine on my arm, but a lot of wetlands are preserved, and that because of hunters. Otherwise, they'll be drained. So the conservation side of hunting is quite popular and quite important.
Yeah, and when you say just distinguishing hunting, there's hunting with the falcon, but you're talking about now hunting the birds. Is that?
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, the origins of falconry are hunting. That's how it originated, sort of around the Mongolia, around that part of the world. And it was a way of providing food and also pelts for our clothing. So an eagle like this bird here can bring down large prey, like, the size of foxes and wolves and that type of thing. Yeah. Even small deer and in Africa, antelope.
I don't know if the camera's showing, these birds are huge in person. Like, this is pretty intimidating. Even every head movement, I'm like, what's she thinking? That bop, oh, sorry. Shit, that's way too loud.
She can't see you. She's got a hood on there. So we just, you probably noticed she's got a bit of equipment on her body. That's just like to manage the bird. The hood is basically there to limit her eyesight. Yeah. So we use it for a variety of reasons. In this case, it's to limit the eyesight, to keep her calm while we're talking. Okay. Yeah. But we use it a lot also for rehabilitation. So if animals come in that have hit a car or something, we can put the hood on the bird straight away, and it just calms them down so we can treat them.
So they're not overstimulated. Is she not more intimidated without the eyesight, or it's kind of dampening the overstimulation?
That's right. So her primary sensory is her eyesight. It overrules every other action. Yeah. So you limit that, and it just calms her down. And it's really interesting because if we're doing a festival or something and there's lots and lots of people around, a weekend, lots of people coming to see you, I think she gets overstimulated. And I'll have a hood out and she'll put it on herself. Oh, wow. And you can feel her body just calm down and relax. So, it must be like a sort of comfort zone.
Yeah. And that's the thing that only you can comment on, because who else can feel the bird's tension release? Do you know what I mean? You can actually say you're feeling the calm down. You see her put her head forward. Yep. It's a completely different perspective from just the norm, the layman, the way we think about birds. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, the relationship between raptors and humans goes back thousands of years, about 3,500 years of history. So, I mean, falconry in its true form is a blood sport, and some people don't like it. But ultimately, the bird's doing the hunting, which is a natural thing. Yeah. The humans not doing the hunting. The humans just training the animal. Yeah. Such. So
and they're kind of fulfilling their evolutionary purpose as well. Hunting.
That's right. And it's interesting in captivity, because in Australia you have to get special permission to hunt with a bird of prey, but overseas it's practiced all the time, of course. And that relationship is and bond, especially with eagles, is strong.
Man, I'm picturing you as like just a real life Pokemon trainer. Like you're living out that dream.
I'm living the dream. That's true. Yeah.
So how did it go from your father? He's a conservationist. What was or was he hunting, sorry? He was a conservationist,
Yeah, both.
What was your view of that growing up? And then was it passed down, or it just happened to fall in your lap? How did you get into it?
I think the main thing was access to areas, to nature, whereas a lot of people don't have that. So I was very lucky to be out in it. Yeah. And I think that really gave me an appreciation of it. And therefore it became normal for me. Yeah. So been out in the bush and out in the forest. I had my first hawk when I was 7 years old.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
So you're growing up with them.
Yeah, and then I made contacts through the conservation groups and all that, and that's sort of how it developed from a very young age.
Yeah,
actually. But my first birds were actually canaries.
Yeah, okay.
So I started off small and worked up.
Yeah. That's like, it reminds me, this word has such a negative connotation now, but I don't think it should. Or, like, to me, have you heard of nepotism?
What is it?
It's, as I understand it, I don't know if it's factual, but it's kind of the idea that parents passing down job opportunities or giving things to their kids. It's added a negative connotation of like, you're not giving other people the opportunity. But in my head, I view it this way: nepotism, you were raised in it. This is the culture of your family. Who else is better to take on this particular job than someone who was raised with it in the family, raised with it in the farm? It's almost like you're meant to be doing it as well. I think it's awesome in that regard.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And because I try to rephrase that word, because I've heard that word often. I'm like, I'd like to see it in that light, essentially. Oh, there she is.
It's not a very good perch. The door. I hope she doesn't let rip here.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Is there a certain personality needed for it? How's it? Have the birds shaped your personality as you were growing up as well?
Absolutely. You have to be resilient because they're living creatures, and like every living creature, they pass, they get sick, and I'm just going to stop here. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course, 100%.
I'm just going to move here onto
I would say maybe that right there is what's loose. We are back.
Yeah.
With Sabrina.
Sabrina. She looks a bit more comfortable now.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they get go to have poo, or we call it a mute, they just get a little bit uneasy.
Oh.
Probably like us, you know.
Hence why you got uneasy.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Just in case you did go. And trust me, we call it a slice in the trade because it goes sometimes a couple of meters away from her body. And the idea, of course, they want to get rid of it away from them, especially if they're in a nesting situation.
So it's real aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've all been there, Sabrina.
Yeah, nice.
But I guess, in line with the human personality, do the birds have their own personality?
They do, but it differs according to the species.
Okay.
Yeah, and eagles are quite intelligent creatures, and they are monogamous in the wild, so their bond with each other and also their keepers can be quite strong. So yeah, they do. Some of the other species like hawks maybe don't have so much of a personality, but it depends on the individual too. Like so for example, some birds really do show personality with their keepers, and others don't. So
but you're saying it can vary within that species as well. Would it be like temperament? One's a bit more aggressive, slightly a bit more moody.
Sure thing, and also how they're trained initially. So you can get different types of training. So this bird here is actually what we call a chamber-raised bird. So she was raised by her eagle parents for the first 3 months, and then finished off, we call it, or trained by humans, compared to another eagle I've got that's got a human imprint. In other words, it was trained from very young. Yeah, and so that personality trait can form differently because of those techniques of training.
Yeah, because even cats, as I understand it, there's a certain amount you're meant to wait, or I've just been told, I don't know if you should, but so that they socialize with cats in a certain way before people give them out. I don't know if that's right or wrong. It's just something I've been told.
Well, I mean, you get the best of both worlds. I like chamber-raised eagles because they know they're eagles, so there's no dominance thing going on. And if you have an imprint eagle, they can sort of bit like the top dog scenario.
Interesting.
It can happen with eagles as well, and you can get aggression traits and all that. So you have to be a little bit careful how you and compared to say the owls, for example, we prefer to train them as young birds.
Oh, sorry. So you're saying though, the human-raised birds have a more potential to experience a dominance hierarchy than the eagle trained.
Yeah, that's right.
That's interesting.
It's the opposite of what you might think.
Yeah,
because you think if you train and something's used to you, the calmer it is and all that. But eagle hierarchy is really, really important in the wild, of course, and that can transpire or whatever into a captive situation as well. But I mean, it can be quite complex, the methods of training, and like I said, I prefer to have chamber raised eagles just because we don't have to compete with the eagle for dominance.
Yeah.
I'm the dominant one of this partnership. That's interesting because she hates my wife, this bird.
Yeah. What? So it's actually. Do you think there's a bit of jealousy?
Yeah, absolutely there is, and because she's the other woman, you know. And I mean, when I'm flying Sabrina, I have to make sure that Kathy's inside the house.
Oh my goodness. What does that look like? She's just a bit more puffed
She
up.
gets quite aggressive.
Oh wow,
and
man.
of course, in the wild, that's the case too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, if another eagle comes into a territory, well, they defend it.
Mm.
I mean, it doesn't normally end up in an injury. It's more of intimidation. Get out of my face. You know, get out of my space, because really, it's like a home invasion.
Yeah, yeah, literally, exactly. How do they even tend to communicate? Do they, is it the wings? Is it she's
In an aggression.
calling? I guess in general, but in this context, aggression as well. Yeah.
Yes, well, in a wild situation, they would gang up on that imposter. And
Really?
yeah, and sometimes even make contact with the talons. They'll lock talons and but usually it's just drive them out. In the captive situation, they can be quite vocal, and we can sort of tell their temperament and what they're doing. If she's aggressive now, she would heckle up.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's another reason for having that hood on, that she can't see you.
Yeah. Okay.
There's every now and then, there's about one of every, I don't know, around about 1,000 people she doesn't like.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's usually males, by the way.
Okay, I don't know what it is. When I'm around babies, they just start crying, and I'm like, "Please love me. I'm sorry for existing."
Oh,
Just,
that's a shame.
it is a shame. I grow on them though eventually. So. Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
I like it.
she's pretty calm now.
Does that change the method you need to use to train them? Like, can she be moody one day? Do you have to kind of change your approach if you're training, or you just kind of let her have her moment? And
That's a good one. She can. It's interesting because, like I said before, eagles are quite intelligent. So this is probably the only bird in the whole collection that I can actually tell off.
okay,
I mean, you can't discipline a raptor because you're just going to get stabbed. Simple as that. It doesn't work like that. I mean, in the wild, they're raptors and they kill for a living. That's what they do, right? So there's not a lot of love and cuddles attached to training an eagle or a goshawk, because it doesn't work like that. I mean, we love all our birds, don't get me wrong, but that's just human emotions.
you understand your birds. Yeah, you're not anthropomorphizing where you project the human element onto them.
Yeah, that's right. So actions are really, really important. So the training of them you have to be very deliberate at what you're doing.
Okay.
So the bird knows that you aren't going to attack it.
Okay.
It's really important. So that first socialization part of training is really, really quite important.
Do they size you up as a respect kind of thing? Do you need to gain their respect for them to listen?
Well, that's a human trait, but
it's still a hierarchy trait as well.
Yeah, it is. You're right. And absolutely. I mean, you can't discipline this bird with, violence is probably the wrong word, but, with physical discipline. It's not going to work because the bird's just going to hammer you back.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work like that. And also they've got good memories and they resent you, and then it builds up that sort of resentment, and you end up just having a ill-tempered bird that doesn't like you.
Yeah.
So that respect thing is really, really quite important. Yeah.
It's another one of those things that I feel like we're misdefining or redefining the term alpha. It's become such an unpleasant word, but at its core, I feel like the alpha is, like in the wolf pack as well, the leader of the group, the one that's making decisions and the one that's willing to kind of take on the load for the rest of the group as well. So I think if it views you as the alpha or anything in general in that regard, it's kind of allowing you to make the decisions, which is kind of where I think the respect element comes in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that you can gain that. I wouldn't even know how to. It's just so intimidating. It's a conscious thing. It's alive. It's thinking. It's doing its thing. It's just we're trying to understand it. It's pretty full on. So they are social though, with each other as well.
Well, They have to be social to a certain degree, don't they? Because they wouldn't be able to breed. But again, that's quite complex, and that differs from raptor to raptor, species to species. So eagles are monogamous, so they will have one partner, for life. I think it's a bit of a myth that if one dies, the other eagle mourns for life and never pairs up. They just usually find another partner.
As we do.
It's probably a young bird that hasn't got a territory, and they form up and bond up. But it may take a fair while for that to happen as well. So, and that's interesting because in captivity that happens as well. So this bird is bonded with me. If someone wanted to come fly here on a regular basis and take over, I really got to step back from that relationship, and that bird, that new person has to
kind of imprint on one another.
Has to be brave for a little while, because she's going, well, where is he? He's my
and who
regular
are you?
partner.
Yeah.
That's right. Who's the imposter? And we have the public fly this bird, and that's not really a threat to anyone, or she isn't, because they're newbies. They're here for the day, viewing the birds or flying the birds. They're not part of a relationship really, as such. But if they came on a regular basis, then things would change, because she'd be wondering, well, hang on a minute, where do you fit into the relationship? And that's why with Kathy, she's a little bit defensive.
That makes it make a lot more sense, actually, yeah. Because, I think at the end of the day, everything, even in our life, is just like a form of pattern recognition. And the birds do that as well. So if she's sensing a change in pattern, even kids as well, they need these like foundational structures and patterns in their life to not get overly anxious. As I understand, that could be wrong. This is just my
I do birds.
Yeah, fair enough. But I guess all of us are just, you need the pattern. So if something's breaking that, she's just trying to rewire what the F's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like I say, in captivity, it can be a pain in the backside sometimes, but if you've got staff coming and going and having to form up bonds with birds, it can take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also injury.
Yeah, fair enough. So, of the birds? Of
people.
If they're a bit too hard or something.
Well, the birds, they bond, like I just said, can take time. And in between that time, from start to forming the bond, can be, in the case of an eagle, a couple of months or more.
Yeah.
And you got to be, that new person has to be quite careful how they handle them, because they could strike them or whatever.
Yeah.
I can pick this bird up without a glove on. That's how much I trust her.
Yeah.
But if you were holding her, I wouldn't allow that to happen, because she could grab onto you.
And she knows what she's feeling as well, what's familiar and what isn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all about that. Familiar is a big deal with training raptors. Make it regular, the same thing. They don't like surprises.
Okay. Same here, Sabrina. Don't worry. So, with birds of prey as a conservation and facility, what are you doing in private with the birds, and then what's the public element as well? I guess what's the processes here?
Well, we're a conservation group, and we're licensed under the government. So raptors in Australia have very high protection, and you have to have a commercial grade license. It's sort of like a zoo license for privateers to own them. You can't just go out and grab a bird of prey out of the wild, because you'll end up in deep shit.
Yeah, rightfully so. Yeah.
And there's a big fine and imprisonment if you get caught. So, so all these birds we have around here are captive bred, and we've got breeding birds at the moment, and under that license we can trade and exchange. So that's the commercial aspect of it.
Yeah,
we have people come in, they pay to come in, and they get up close and personal with the birds, and even fly. Some of them help me fly them and train them, and that's all part of it. The private stuff is the things I do on my own. We've got access to a farm not far from this farm, big hills, and I take her up we close down over the winter period. It's just a bit cold up here to be doing public work, and I take this bird up and we fly her in the mountains, and that's my downtime.
And that was when I'd randomly appeared at your doorstep saying,
did.
Hey man.
Yeah. That's
great. Beautiful,
it's great fun. It's great fun, and I have a few followers, like friends and that are into the raptors as well, that we team up, but there's not that many around the country. There's lots of I call them birdos. People that are in zoos, and you might have a static display with an eagle sitting there, and you're looking through bars or a cage or whatever. That's not really my scene. we're more of a specialised raptor centre, falconry centre, and I like to have the birds out flying around if we can. Obviously, our breeding birds are there for that purpose, and we don't go near them much, apart from maintenance, of course. So I like to have the birds out flying around. That's the best part of what we do.
Yeah, so like facilitating them just being the birdiest bird it can be.
Well, that's it. You know, they're not circus animals, and you know, and to have a little kestrel flying around to a lure, and letting the public have access to that and try it is something quite unique. It's interesting. The owl species are really popular at the moment, you know, because of TV and movies and all that, like Harry Potter, and we have people come in here and fly the owls and get quite emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bucket list thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, man, I can completely understand. So I kind of want to dive into it. So I guess was this place through your father, or did you kind of do a separate thing to get birds of prey here?
Full flight.
Full flight. Sorry.
So birds of prey originated in New Zealand.
Okay. Yeah.
As a charitable trust, and it was really originally just to look after injured wildlife.
Okay.
But that evolved into something quite remarkable. The thing about NZ is there's only a couple of species over there, and I used to breed New Zealand falcons, and they're lots of fun to fly. Actually, a very intelligent falcon, but limiting. Australia's got some magnificent wildlife. Yeah. So gravitated over here.
Okay.
This property, we've only been here a few years.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. Originally, we moved into the castle just out of Ballarat.
Okay.
And lived there. I suppose falconry sort of was, fitted in, I suppose, and grew the collection of birds from there. And then we moved into this property. This is originally this house here, the old cottage is about, I think, 160 years old.
Oh, wow.
We're doing it up, and we're going to be actually having night functions here with the owls.
Man.
So people could stay here on the property. It's going to be cool. Yeah.
You heard it here first, guys. Did you hear that?
Book in.
Yeah, book in. Seriously, full flight.
Well, it's not finished yet.
Birds of prey, but this is it. This is hopefully getting more of this out there because it's so interesting, man. And that's such a beautiful idea. That's sick. That's mad.
There's nothing like it that I know of anyway in Australia. And the old buildings like the one we're in here just lends itself. It's like an original muse.
Yeah, man.
For raptors, you could be sitting in 15th century.
Just
how this would be.
Some places have a feel, and that was the beauty about Ballarat, I felt like as well, was it had just the architecture has a heritage element to it. Seeing so many churches as well, just as I'm driving, I'm like, there's something about, obviously it's still a city, it's modern, but it's got this kind of old Australian feel to it, which was very comforting as well. It felt nice to drive through here, yeah. Or when I was living here.
Well, the interesting thing about this farm, not the modern house, but the old cottage and the barn here, that these the people immigrated from Scotland, and they used to grow food for the miners. So Miners Rest was a stop-off point, sort of like a Cobb and Co. So the miners would be moving between Clunes and Buninyong before gold was really found in large quantities in Ballarat. And they would stop here. And of course, once gold really was discovered in large quantities in Ballarat, sort of Miners Rest fell off the earth because everyone gravitated to Ballarat. Yeah. And it was a big deal.
Sovereign Hill.
Yeah. And, I didn't know till just the other day, they are still mining under the city.
Oh, shit. I did not know.
Still active.
Yeah, okay. But hopefully with a bit more OH&S because...
hopefully.
Yeah. I had a man on previously, but yeah, he was kind of going through his family's history while they were mining. And it was pretty sad to hear the poor conditions and the flow-on effect that had on so many people. But I guess it needs to be done different time. I hope we're well past that one. But
we've been doing some work, or part of Full Flight is we do a lot of research with the birds. And we've been investigating using raptors for pest management.
Yes,
so
okay.
Using birds to control birds, for example. That's the non-lethal approach. So using the eagle to scare corrallers off a golf course, for example. And it's garnered a lot of interest, actually. And like I say, only in the non-lethal, so I'm not allowed to kill anything. But anyway, we've been working at a gold mine up in Ararat to remove swallows out of their workshop because they're crapping on all the equipment and the workers don't like it. So
Yeah.
it's been interesting. But I went down in the gold mine. It was like a K&a half underground.
Wow.
It's just, it's a bit, I mean, I wasn't scared, but I was certainly nerve-wracking.
It's claustrophobic at the minimum, you know.
They're doing an experiment down there. We went down and had a look at it as a laboratory down there, and they're trying to discover what dark matter is. So, a K and a bit down, there's this sort of building built into the rock. It was absolutely insane.
Mate, you can't just drop that bomb on me. What the dark matter?
They have to go underground that far to. It's something to do with the noise, the radiation or something. So they're underground to try and reduce the amount of radiation noise. So.
Were you allowed to know that? Are we? Is this?
Yeah,
can we know
absolutely.
these?
You can Google it. You can Google it.
Ararat, yeah.
Yeah, Ararat. At the Ararat gold mines there, they've got an experiment underground trying to discover dark matter. And they're trying to discover dark matter, and they don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a weird concept.
It's like the absence of matter or the inverse of anything. It's not. It's.
We're lucky enough to catch up with the head scientist lady there. Her name escapes me, but she was fantastic, and she showed us through, but she blew my mind with what she was saying. It totally lost me.
Yeah,
and I had our academic man with us who writes up all our research and stuff, and he was there, and even his mind was blown.
Yeah,
and this lady is sort of in her mid-20s, just unbelievable. She's heading the experiment, which is pretty cool.
Oh my goodness, you got my podcast network tingling though.
She would be an interesting character to have on because she's super intelligent, and it's just an amazing thing what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that was the last thing I expected you to say.
Yeah.
You could not have paid me. I could not. This is not what I was expecting from that.
I'll pass on her number.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I guess with that though, you said that the birds, you can train them. Sorry, I'm not probably going to cut that out. I don't know. Sometimes I'll say things and I just like stumble before I get it out. You mentioned earlier, that you can almost like what are they called? Shepherd dog kind of, pest control without killing them. How do you kind of tell, is it a different bird that's not trained to kill? Or you can say to Sabrina, hey, we're not killing them today. Like how are you distinguishing whether she's in hunting mode or just in pest control mode?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, they all have it in them, don't they? They're built for doing that, but inherently lazy.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't encourage. Sorry, I'll start again. With the training of them, we use a lot of equipment, including lures and that type of thing, and that means that we can sort of bypass the natural wanting to kill.
What's a lure? Sorry,
a lure is like a sort of so in her case, it's a rabbit lure.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I understand.
Lure.
Yeah. No, you said it right. I just understood.
So that feeding is happening at that period of her training, right? So the lure, for example, might be we drag her lure behind my motorbike, and in the paddock and do wheelies, and she can chase it, sort of like a dog chasing a ball or something like that. And that stimulus is probably natural. Reasonably natural in its form because she's chasing that thing. That's what they do. They chase things.
Yeah.
To
hunt.
To hunt them. That's right. So we're just sort of bypassing her doing that by providing that lure flying and that type of thing. But it's a very, very fine line. So could I get her to hunt the rabbit? Yeah, of course I could. Because she's a display bird as such, we don't want that happening though, do we?
Okay.
Makes sense. We want her as calm and placid as possible.
Yeah.
People are handling
engaging.
her.
Yeah.
If I wasn't putting her into a hunting situation, if we got permission to do it, I'm saying, we wouldn't be displaying her to the public.
Of course. Yeah. So to make sure I understood, so the lure is acting as a way to trigger the chase response, but not the kill response. I mean,
they kill the lure.
Okay, so they're just
exactly. They're allowed to do that. If we didn't provide food to them and that stimulus, would they go out if they were able to and hunt for themselves? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a little bit like cats. You mentioned cats before. We like to think they love us and they're sitting on our laps it's just convenient.
Yeah.
Do they go out and hunt? Yeah, they do. People should lock their cats up because they
Yeah.
hunt a lot of wildlife.
Yeah. Do they bring you gifts? Because I had a cat that would literally, I miss this little kitty, but would literally kill something and just knock it on the glass door. It was like,
I've heard of this.
yeah, literally knock it on the glass door. Did it probably twice, and it was just this dead like rat. And I'm like, thanks. I was like, is this supposedly a gift? I took it that way. It's probably just
Yeah, look, yes, they do, and not quite the same though. So in the true hunting, like falconry, for example, if you're out hunting New Zealand falcon once, who would catch its prey and just wait for me, just sit on it, and because some of these chases go over kilometres, it's not just like around the corner.
True.
It's time you catch up the bird. You're tracking a GPS signal sometimes. This bird would pluck its bird prey, so maybe it was a quail, for example, something like that. Pluck it and just sit on it and wait for me to get there, then start eating it. So it was almost like that connection there, like the cat, for example. And that's, I suppose, in falconry in its true form is like that relationship, because that animal really, that bird is hunting for you as well as itself. Yeah.
It's that co-evolution, just like dogs. We've kind of gone together, which is pretty incredible.
Yep. And of course, dogs are used in falconry as well.
In falconry?
Yeah, for sure. Some species of dogs are used historically and in modern days to flush prey. So pointers, for example, would be used to point a pheasant, and you'd get your eagle or your hawk or whatever in position, and then the dog would flush the prey, and bang, away you go.
Oh, so wait, so who's first in that sequence? Dog find prey, eagle attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. See, in the Middle Ages, they would use children. This is true.
Yeah, children were a lot more laborious back in the day.
They wouldn't hunt the children. What they would do is they would use them to flush the prey. Give them a stick. That's where the term "beat around the bush" comes from. It's a falconry term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they would give the kids a stick, pay them a penny or whatever, and flush the prey out for the birds to chase.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
To beat around the bush.
To beat around the bush.
Yeah.
There you go. Have any of them ever flown away and not come back? Do they do that, or they're always kind of there? Yeah.
Look, they have the potential to fly away. We encourage it.
Okay. Yeah.
We free fly our birds.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Obviously, only the trained ones. We don't free fly one that's not trained, because it would take off.
Yeah.
Even though it's captive bred, it's just not connected to the handler. So I lost a peregrine once for 3 days. I've never lost one full stop though.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Had a peregrine get chased. Our biggest fear, if it is that, in a captive situation, and most falconers, if falconers are listening to this, would understand this. It's not really escape that we worry about with our birds. It's other raptors are a problem. It's electricity. It's vehicles. It's buildings. I mean, this bird's worked at the MCG, and it's dangerous around those. So we always do a risk assessment, of course. So it's not really escape. And when we're flying them, we put equipment on them like radio tracking, or modern days we've got GPS.
True.
And it's just a real insurance policy for us if something does go wrong. I mean, people have this idea that birds just fly when they want to and whenever they want and as high as they go and all that. But the climate and what's happening out there is a big factor in their lives. Say, for example, the owls, very, very light wing loading, really struggle in the wind or rain. So if the weather's a bit crappy for a week or two, she's got to go for a fly.
Yeah, it looks.
the weather's a bit horrible. Well, they can't fly, so they just sit up there. So we have to work with their birds' natural tendencies and abilities as well.
Yeah.
Hey, come on. What's going on, mate? Hey, don't like that. Gate's a bit thin.
Yeah, it's.
Give me a handshake.
Yeah.
Just had a little chat to me there. Just she can hear my voice and she calms her down a little bit. So if she gets a little bit ratty, we just might move her onto a more comfortable perch.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah, are there what are some myths that people have about the birds that we can kind of bust over here? Yeah, or just fun facts as well.
The wise old owl. I
Okay,
love that.
not so wise.
No. I wouldn't say they're thick. That's a bit cruel, but they
Definitely not wise. That's a good one, actually. That's like embedded in my brain. Yeah.
I read somewhere, and I correct me if I'm wrong here, but we can blame the ancient Greeks for that.
Okay. All right.
Apparently, because if you sit up there and you look and listen, you must be clever. And that's what owls do. They usually hunt from.
Oh, that's the
vantage point.
implication you mean? Sorry. Yeah. All right.
There's nothing intelligent.
Okay. They're just in there.
Owls are very, very difficult to train as adults. I mean, some people do, and I've done it. It takes a lot of time to train an adult owl. So we tend to train them as babies, like hand raise them basically from hatching, and that means that they imprint very quickly. Their learning curve is very quick in the wild, whereas eagles are long lived, and their learning curve goes for years. They can even go through perhaps a sort of juvenile stage.
Yeah.
And end up testing their handlers and all that. So,
But that's I think I don't know if it's linked directly to intelligence, but it's linked to like similar to how humans, all of our development power goes to the brain, but we have like 18 years of development to be an adult. Yes. You know what I mean? So even monkeys as well, or whatever it is, it's kind of, I don't know if again linked to intelligence or just there's something that the more kind of higher up the evolution hierarchy it is, the longer the kind of infancy phase is as well. So that kind of, I can kind of see a link there potentially, as if you're saying it's linked to the intelligence as well. She's going to be antsy.
Probably needs to go to the toilet.
Yeah, okay.
She's in a barn. That's good.
Yeah, true.
We're happy here. Rather inside. I do take this bird inside and watch TV with it.
Oh, yeah.
But only when Kathy's not home.
Yeah, of course. We got to the territory.
Another myth. Interesting. A lot of sayings come from medieval falconry or the art of falconry, including hoodwinked. You see, she's got a hood on her head we talked about.
Oh, yes.
That's where that... my grandma used to use that.
Yeah,
when she was alive, hoodwinked. She used to use that term a lot.
Because that means kind of... that just means being deceived almost, or in a trance state.
Almost like tricking the bird to think it's nighttime. Obviously, you can't use them with the nocturnals.
Is that what
it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
There's this old animated movie that I really liked. It's called something Guardians of the Owl of Gahul, something like that. And there was a scene where they were hoodwinking the birds, and they were all in this trance state, but the little owl did not fall for it. And I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. Or sorry, the little owls did not fall for it. They were able to just get away from the bad thing. That's why. And that was like a real favorite movie of mine. You just clipped that scene together for me.
I'm happy.
I'm just mind blown right now. And I was so sad they didn't make a part 2 of that. It was a big thing for me. So, so thanks for that.
One of my favorite sayings is "old codger."
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of that one.
No, don't know.
No, you're not as old as me.
Sorry, brother.
But no, that's cool. You do hear it around, mostly, older people, old codger. And it's to show that someone's older and a bit dithery maybe, Yeah. But it comes from falconry days, the Middle Ages of, there's a piece of apparatus called a cadge. And it's basically 4 bits of wood that form a square and you hop into it.
Okay.
And then these straps that go down to the corners so you can carry it sort of on your shoulders.
So one more time for me. Yes. Yeah. My brain did not process that.
Okay. So if you imagine 4 bits of wood.
Like a frame?
Like a frame,
yeah.
Like a picture frame with no glass in it.
Yeah, okay.
A big frame.
Yeah.
You can step into the middle.
Of course, yeah.
And then you can put straps on each corner like a...
So I pictured a platform initially. That's why and it's gone up.
It's gone up. That's right. And you're walking along with this skirt, I can imagine, around you. Well, then you can put all your falcons on it.
Yeah.
On the edge, with their tails sticking out. And so one person can carry multiple birds,
Mm.
Birds of prey I'm talking about, and that means that if you're going out hunting into the field, well, one falconer can carry lots of birds to hunt
Yeah.
for the afternoon, and it was usually the job of an old person to carry the cadge.
Yeah.
So old cadger got corrupted into old codger.
Yeah, yeah,
An old person that carries birds.
I love how there's things get lost in time.
It's amazing.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And like I appreciate that, yeah, you're mature, you're older, you're the middle ground with this little piece of knowledge. Where am I ever gonna find that? You know what I mean? Where am I ever gonna hear that ever? You know what I mean? So it's sick that we can hold on to things, and now back on the internet again, it comes alive again when we talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of history attached to our raptors, like I said before, and I like the under. You can see she's got a little leash on here, little Jessie's, to some leather straps. And if I had this bird on my hand, she'd be under my thumb.
She'd be under your thumb with the strap, sorry.
Yeah, and that's where that term "under one's thumb" comes from.
Okay.
Or if I wrapped it around my little pinky here, it would be to wrap one around one's finger
Yeah.
to control someone.
Yes.
And that's where that comes from.
Or like putting your finger on it as well. You know what I mean? So that's another one. I was reading a book just about the brain and the hemispheres. Well, I've been reading it for like 3 years. It's just like I'll read a paragraph, and I'm like, oh, man, this is like, what is happening? And sometimes I'm doing like a book read on the podcast as well. So I'll read like little segments and kind of put it out there, really as an excuse for me to read it because I'm not doing it otherwise. He was talking about how, so you know how the hemispheres are crossed with the body. They were able to see in birds that when a bird is hunting or looking for something, it's more likely to use its right eye because the left hemisphere is used for focusing and for honing in and for grabbing, even for humans. And then when it's more kind of in a when it's got its vigilance on and it's kind of scanning for predators, because the idea is evolutionarily for humans as well. The right hemisphere is more vigilant, new information.
Yeah.
The left hemisphere is more about certainty, understanding, grab, take. It's about the explicit and the implicit. So it's pretty cool in that regard. And he's pretty much opened the book with, a study, research showing birds are more likely, and lizards as well, like not just birds. Yeah.
Yep.
When they're looking, I don't think I've got this wrong. Yeah. Right side more in terms of when it's focusing, fixating, and then the left side when it's more kind of in a scanning mode. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And they were able to, like, because you still got to stamp out any potential like confounding variables or things that might not be true, but in it, they covered the birds, I think one eye or both eyes.
What type of birds were they?
I do not know. I can genuinely find the study. Yeah. Because the book has
could have been raptors.
Yeah.
Being so visual.
Yeah. I'll genuinely actually look it up after this and get it to you because
Excellent.
he's got every reference in this book, but hence all the more reason it's so hard to digest. That'd be cool if I give it to you. And it's just something to look out for as well.
Always learning.
Yeah. But the way they kind of prove that it's not just like by chance is within the lizard example. I think they covered the eye that was meant to be focusing, but it still tilted its head in that direction, even though the eye was covered. So it still went to look with the right eye, even though the right eye was covered.
Yes.
If that makes sense. So its proclivity was to look in that direction, or the inverse. But it was, the point of it still needing it.
I read a while ago a study done with raptors to determine the focal range and the power of the eye, and they did a similar thing. I can't quite remember the title of it, but to determine that this bird can see in its optics are so developed. There was no sort of gauging before that study was done, and they used a lot of strips of light or something. I recall to determine how powerful their eyes are. It's interesting when you look at an eagle's skull. I got one behind you there. It's all optics. There's very little.
Oh, we do have a skull right behind me.
There's very little room for a brain. I mean, she is quite intelligent as far as raptors go, but it's all optics.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Which is fair enough. That's the evolutionary trade-off, though. We've gotten rid of our talons and ability to rip something into shreds to be in control a bit, though.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
She's listening to every word, you know.
Yeah. Sabrina.
Sabrina. Named after a cartoon.
Named after a cartoon.
Yeah, my daughter. Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Oh,
I've never seen it.
Yes, that used to be on Channel 10, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It was way back, man.
Yeah. I think it became an actual show. Like it was a cartoon originally, I think.
So I thought it was a show, yeah.
But then it was a live show. It wasn't like with people.
Yeah.
I think before that, could be wrong here. I think it was a cartoon originally.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because it's going back, crikey. Well, this bird is 27 years old. So it has to be that long ago.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. 27 years old.
Yeah, she's coming up 28. Yeah.
Is this like a dog years situation? Is she actually 5 or 27 human years?
I think I do believe it's close to a human year.
Yeah.
So I think the oldest one I read in a book somewhere, a manual. The oldest one, or the oldest one I know of, I could be wrong here, was 82. So they're long lived, but not all raptors are like that. Usually, the bigger the bird, the longer lived. So a little kestrel, you might get sort of 10 years out of one.
But sorry, 82 human years.
Human years.
Oh wow,
and
man.
and it was actually in America.
Yeah.
So they must have some in a zoo over there at some point, and so that's the oldest wedge-tailed eagle. I'm not sure about other species. Yeah. So yeah, she'll hopefully outlive me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I want that to happen.
No, in the nicest way. Yeah.
Yeah, she's part of the family of this bird. We do get connected to them, you know. They're like children in a way, especially the ones that do a lot of work with us.
Yeah.
Including this one. So,
are there things on like a social level that we should be talking about more, like regarding conservation and the birds? What can, like from a public perspective, how can people's view on this kind of help the birds? Or are there things that we're overseeing on a social level, or it's more just kind of these conversations?
Look, there's a lot of cultural things that a bit of conflict between raptors and humans, especially in Australia. In fact, the interesting thing is wedge-tailed eagles are regarded as the most persecuted bird of prey in the world, and the government would actually pay you to destroy them right up to the, sort of around the mid-70s, 1970s.
Yeah.
Because of they come into conflict with humans, you know, because they take stock of wildlife. But through research and better understanding of behaviours, we know now that's just not true. They do take stock. There's lambs and other small. Your bunny rabbit, if it was in the backyard, would a hawk take that? Yeah, sure it would. That's what they do. But the numbers of stock taken is just nowhere near what people once thought. So I've got a picture in a book of these being strung up, poisoned and shot, and
oh wow,
and you'd get paid a bounty for them. And now, of course, they've got full protection. And we know now that doesn't happen. So that's a real cultural thing. But it's interesting because we might be out at a festival or something, and this still happens to this day. You'll get farmers say, "Oh yeah, I shoot those on my farm. I hate them." And I try to get I try to get their phone number so I can report them.
Yeah, fair enough. Don't tell them that. We're getting the number to just say hello. That's what we're doing.
Well, there was a couple of cases. There's a couple of cases just recently of farmers poisoning eagles.
Wow.
And I think one of those went to court, and hopefully the person got prosecuted for it. Oh, there she goes.
There she goes.
Yeah, see, she was there. So what they did, it's pretty gruesome actually. What they do is they poisoned a carcass. And of course, eagles are a bit of a scavenger. They don't always hunt live prey, and of course it was a free meal, and that's how they kill them, which is unfortunate. So, but I think in modern days, in the modern day, sorry, people's appreciation and understanding of raptors is getting better and better. You know, through organisations like ourselves.
Of course.
Social media is really good. It's a good note for social media because word gets around, and there's a lot of literature out there now. You know, research, for example, that can show that they're not the baddies that people once thought. You know, pigeon racers hate these things. You know, they hate falcons, peregrines, because that's what peregrines hunt. Pigeons.
Yeah.
It's one of their main prey items. So if you're racing your expensive pigeons down the coast, chances are one of them might get whacked. You know, so that's just how it is. It doesn't mean you got to go out and destroy them all. Like that. So
it's pretty wild, the social media side of it. Like, just in general, if it's now, or just kind of attention in general, I feel like if something's not in your like perception frame of attention, it's to the individual, it doesn't exist almost. So we kind of need to consciously push things like what you're doing here. Like, Sabrina, do not drop your guts there. Oh, okay, I need to not make noise while she's making noise.
She doesn't care.
No, she doesn't care. We're cool. Yeah. How does the government even kind of contact you? You said government contracts, government work?
Yeah, we do. We do a lot. Our research is funded by the government.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So what's happening globally now? There's this real movement towards what we call compassionate conservation, and what that means is that it's other methods of controlling wildlife rather than poisoning or shooting them. Those options are becoming less and less favourable.
Of course, yeah.
For obvious reasons, and also locations. If you've got a problem on a public golf course.
Yeah, you mentioned MCG as well, right?
Yeah, the G and all that with gulls and what. I mean, you're not going to go out. Seagulls, for example, have protection too.
Yeah, true.
So a lot of the targeted species that we've been researching actually have protection. So doing a non-lethal control is obviously a lot better. But in some respects, lethal control probably would work better because the seagull can see Jonathan being taken out by a falcon. It's gonna create more of a reaction, but we don't do that here at this stage.
Do you think they have the capacity to to kind of recalibrate? Oh shit, there's an eagle here. Let's not stick around.
Yeah, they do. Of course they do.
Yeah,
and we've found in some cases it doesn't work. I mean, because in the wild, I suppose.
Sorry. I don't know what's going on there. Sorry, I'm going to pause that. Hold the thought.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Lesson learned. Make sure you've wiped your memory correctly. Apologies about that. But yeah, I was gonna say I'm losing I've lost the train of thought, but it's okay. There's no train to even.
We're talking about non-lethal versus lethal.
Yeah.
And both have their values. In Australia, though, the laws of utilising animals to hunt other animals is strictly controlled. So the concept of using this eagle, for example, to kill wildlife is not accepted unless you get permission, of course.
Yeah.
So, in fact, we're just investigating getting back to what I was saying before about farming communities persecuting eagles. Well, not just eagles, of course, falcons, like I mentioned, also hawks. Hawks have got a habit of getting into the chicken coop and taking out chickens and all that. So, but we thought we'll start part of our research. We'll do a little side project, and that would be why not show that eagles like this one actually have a value on farming, properties and all that, because they do take a lot of vermin as well.
Yeah, so you're reframing the kind of public perception of it, or just the farmer's perception of it.
Yeah, why not? So we actually thought we would ask permission to see if we could hunt a couple of our eagles on foxes, because foxes are a major problem in Australia. And they kill a lot of wildlife, but also they take out a lot of livestock, usually during that lambing period. So what we thought we would do is we would train a couple of eagles to take a few foxes out, if we're allowed to, and we would document it. We'll put GoPros on them and make that sort of a community project to show the community, the rural areas, that the eagles on their properties actually do more good than harm. That's
very smart, man. I really appreciate that. That's
cool,
because it's You got the scientific element, you got the community element, and you've got the reframing of, I guess, bringing in everyone else to the way you understand and view the birds, and you're kind of bringing us with you in a way that benefits the public as well.
That's right. We did a couple of sorry, I started again. We did some research on a couple of farms not far from here. One farm was having problems, so we were told, with eagles taking out lambs. So what we did, we actually set up some feed tables. So
Feed tables
for the eagles.
Okay.
Right, the big long tables on a pole with a pulley system, so we could tie a rabbit and put it up on the table.
Okay.
And I got this idea from when I was living in NZ. We did this on a vineyard, and anyway, so the idea is that the local eagles would come to the table. You train them to come to the table for a feed.
Yep.
Right, and so then we actually put these feed tables in the lambing paddocks.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, okay. So it's almost like a scare eagle instead of a scarecrow.
Well,
I mean,
the thing is, the eagles always prefer to eat rabbit rather than lamb. They had no take, so no eagles. None of the eagles killed any of the lambs in that paddock. They preferred to eat the rabbit.
Okay.
So now we tell farmers, well, hey, go shoot a few bunnies and put them out in the on the corner of your farms and encourage the eagles to come in, because not only will the eagles eat the rabbit, they'll also take care of your foxes.
Yeah,
because they kill foxes.
Man, that's like a real scarecrow, but a functionally active scarecrow.
Natural pest control.
Natural pest control. Yeah. And you just got your post up.
Yeah,
that's really smart. And was that a part of the research you're saying?
No, that was just something we chose to do because the farmers were local people that I knew. So I thought, well, hey, this is a good chance to actually see if that theory would work.
Yeah.
I did do it in New Zealand, like I said before, on a vineyard, and we had all these baby harrier hawks handed in to us because they nest on the ground. And we hadn't, so we raised them up, and of course by law you got to release them back into the wild. So we actually hacked, the term's called hacking. So we hacked them back to this vineyard, and because they're having problems with starlings in the vineyard, and these hawks just chased all the starlings away.
Yeah, all right.
They loved it, and of course they would have gone their own way eventually anyway because they were back into the wild. So,
yeah.
So that's what gave me the idea. Well, hey, maybe we could do it with eagles to get rid of foxes.
Yeah.
But really, it was also to prove, well, will they prefer the rabbit or the lamb? And there were no cases during that period of the eagles going down and eating those lambs, or killing those lambs.
Yeah.
So because the eagle doesn't go out and kill for fun. It's
So it's trying to survive or
food for itself and its young or its partner or whatever. So the food was provided. So why would you go and whack the lamb potentially, because of the food is just given to you for free anyway.
Yeah.
So that sort of worked in a way. So
in scarcity, it might do it though. It might kind of ramp up what it needs to survive. How would it determine? I'm saying, in imagine there's not in this scenario, just it's starving or hungry. Does it have the capacity to?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to a farmer. This is about 5 or 6 years ago, not far from here, and he had his collie taken by an eagle on his farm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, killed it. And that's a big animal for an eagle to take. But I suppose that myth, getting back to that, 200 years ago, there was no roads, no roadkill, no lambs, no rabbits here.
Yeah, okay.
They hunt large prey, these birds, including roos and wallabies.
Gotcha.
And they also hunt a lot of birds like cockatoos and corellas and that type of thing. So they're quite a fast flying eagle, this bird, compared to perhaps the relative of golden eagles. Bigger but slower.
You've raised a question in my head. Are they native? Are they native? Which ones are native or?
Yeah, they're all native.
These are native birds. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I had no idea actually.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm pretty ignorant to the
not endemic. So they are found up in New Guinea, around some of the islands, I think, up north.
Yep.
But say we have a subspecies of peregrine falcon in Australia, Macropus. But peregrines are found all over the world, just like barn owls are found.
Yeah, okay.
But they're still classed as native because it's like a subspecies. I think peregrines have maybe 18 or so subspecies around the world. In
Native meaning it's been there for a certain amount of time?
fact, meaning that it's native to the country, but it's found, or a subspecies is found elsewhere as well. In New Zealand, I reckon I saw a peregrine. There's no peregrines in New Zealand, but I was driving south of Auckland one day, and I reckon I saw one. So potentially, could they fly there? Yeah,
True.
they
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you have a kind of now ability for a bit of pattern recognition in the flying? Because even me, I was I kind of started to get into my bird watching phase, which my family was like, "What are you doing?" And I try to communicate with them whistling, and I get real weird when I'm alone or with my family. They've gotten used to it. Yeah. Even dogs, I bark back. Like I want to try communicate with animals on their level, on my level, implicitly through my posturing. I really treat animals like a conscious being, because it is a conscious being, and I know it knows that I know, and I really treat them the same way I treat kids as well.
That's a bit deep.
In what sense? Sorry, as in that's too much, you mean? Okay, yeah, maybe. Well, I think it's Anyway, I won't dive into my psychology and my complexes in that regard. But I was saying something about the bird watching. Yeah, sorry.
The twitching.
The twitching.
You're a twitcher.
I am. Am I a twitcher?
Oh yeah, we'll say you are.
Okay, I am. I'm just surprised you caught that out. Actually, have I been twitching on this?
No.
Okay, because I am a twitcher, actually.
I'm not talking about that.
Sorry.
As someone who goes out and views birds and takes photographs and follows birds around as a twitcher. Oh, maybe I'm showing my age.
I'm showing my but sorry, yeah, because I do Twitch sometimes, so I thought that was funny. But yeah, with the bird, it's like perfect miscommunication right there. Perfect miscommunication.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, while I was doing that, I kind of pride myself on, if I'm just in a scene and I'll catch like a glimpse of a shadow on the floor, like there, I'll be like, the bird needs to be coming from there. And then I'll try, I hope, I'm not always right, but I get a real dopamine hit when, like, after 3 or 4 seconds, I'll see a bird appear from like the roof or from behind a tree or something. So there's something real, like, I feel predatory in a positive sense when I kind of catch those things out. I'd assume, you'd be like just building in this kind of pattern recognition of little movements, because you're kind of embedding it in your mind.
You sort of become like your pets, they say, you know. And it's really important. Observation when you're training raptors is super important.
Yeah.
You have to know. You're almost thinking the bird in a way. If you're training a peregrine that's flying around doing 200 k's an hour, you can't afford to stuff up, because you're going to get it wrong, injure the bird, or injure someone else or yourself.
How would you? Can you walk us through like the basic process of training them? What does it even look like? Is it sequential? Is it you let them go? How do you discipline them if they're doing the wrong thing? Like, how do you guide them to what you want?
It's a long story, training, and there's lots of different methods of training, and we certainly don't discipline them. You can't discipline a predator. Not the discipline as in physical discipline. I mean, you can yell at an eagle all you want. It's not going to make any difference to it.
Sorry, that's why I tried to rephrase to guide. Yeah. How do you guide them in the
So what we're doing, what we focus on initially is association. Okay, so we have to make the raptor comfortable with humans, and that's done through a variety of methods. And then the next stage is, once they're comfortable, is we're just really utilising their natural abilities. Okay, we don't get them to ride little bikes across wire or anything like that.
Do a backflip.
You know?
Okay, I was joking.
A peregrine's going to go and fly high and wait up above you, because that's how they hunt, right? And the eagle is quite happy sitting on your glove and flying from your glove to another glove, because sort of that's what they do.
Yeah.
So there's no circus acts attached to that. The big part, and there's a big shift from showing a a predator like this, statically like this, it's just sitting up there with the hood on, happy, to you taking it out to the paddock and flying it around. To the next stage, if you're lucky enough to take it out and hunt another animal, there's a big shift from one to the other, and it takes a lot of effort and time to do that. But ultimately, the eagle at the hunting end is doing what it does.
Yeah,
and has been doing it for thousands of years. Yeah, so we're sort of tapping into that as such.
Yeah. So you can't. Can you tell it to stop, or it's entered hunting mode, and you've kind of unleashed the beast to some degree, and you can kind of facilitate it, but when it's in a hunt, are you able to say stop?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. So it's in motion essentially. You can get it in motion, but
you can control the hunt.
Yeah.
You can control how high the falcon flies,
Okay.
and how far the eagle flies. You can do that through a variety of methods. But ultimately, when you're free flying your falcon around, it's really doing its thing and it's on its own.
Yeah. Okay.
There is that connection there, of course. Like there is when you throw your ball for your dog. Chances are your dog's going to bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Usually, So there's the same principle there. So and that's what I've always loved about that connection with really essentially a wild animal. I mean, these birds aren't domesticated. Every falconer, decent falconer in the world, will say that I don't regard that falcon at the back as a domestic animal. It's almost like a companion, and we go hunting together. With that, your parrot might be a domestic animal as such.
Could it be dangerous to view it that way? Could you kind of make is it dangerous doing it? Could you kind of misunderstand the bird if you view it as a domestic animal, or is it just logically incorrect?
I think you could.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because if you mishandle them, or the training isn't done correctly, and you get struck in the head by that, it's going to do some serious damage to you. So could a domestic dog or a parrot bite you? Yeah, of course, that does happen, and all that. But their behaviour is I regard as quite primitive. I mean, look at it; it's a dinosaur sitting there.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and
talons.
I don't want to think it's a little fluffy chicken that I want to cuddle. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're taking away from the beauty of what she is, really. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and like I said before, when we take her up the farm there and fly around the hills, it really does give you joy. There's something about it. Look, we do hundreds and hundreds of displays here for the public, and I still every day get a kick out of flying a peregrine. They're my favourite.
Yeah,
I love peregrines, and with modern equipment, we can judge how fast they fly, how high they fly. So it's a little competition,
true.
I want to get some speed out of my falcon.
Yeah.
It's fun and it's enjoyable,
and they're having fun, and they're being a bird to the most it can be. Yeah,
I reckon they have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Do you have you had bad experiences with the public, or kind of just anything negative?
Look, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We're always going to get to that question. Yeah. I suppose they are in captivity. Some people don't like animals in captivity.
Okay.
Any animals.
Yep.
We're at the racing. We do a bit of work at the Spring Carnival, the Melbourne Cup, just to control the seagulls on the track. There were some accidents where gulls would get up in front of the horses and spill the jockeys, and the horses get injured. So we are there during that period usually to keep the gulls off the track as such. You twitch there.
Yeah, I did twitch there for sure. That was an understandable twitch though.
And of course the protesters there because they're protesting against the horse racing. Horse racing's not my thing, but so be it. Anyway, we were driving back to our base with all the eagles in the back, and I've got a van. It's all sign written with birds of prey.
Yeah.
And this lady came up and she handed me a leaflet, and she was a sign saying anti-horsing or whatever.
Was she really angry at the world?
Yeah, and I said to her, I don't want the leaflet. I said, go save a bilby. It's more important. Go save the native animal. I'm not disrespecting, their views and all that. But there's more important things to worry about in the environment. And that's my view, including a lot of Australian raptors. A lot of them are under threat on the conservation list. I mean, this eagle, and the mainland eagle's actually least concerned on the conservation list. So they're doing all right, but a lot aren't. So, we do get a bit of negative, but you know what? Not much.
Yeah, okay.
Not much at all. People understand what we're doing and that we care for the birds and they get the best treatment.
Yeah.
Can't offer more than that. But, we're quite conscious of that at the centre. We have security and like everything else, and it's always the 1%ers that you're worried about.
Yeah. And like to give them the benefit of doubt or kind of just to try and understand, I think their intentions are right. Like they think that the bird is in harm or they think that they're on a righteous path. But if you just talk to yourself and see what you're doing here, as you mentioned, it's kind of a misguided direction that they're really just projecting some form of anger. I think protesting's good, sure, for whatever you believe in to some degree, but put the energy in the right place.
That's right.
If you really care about what you're talking about, you got to put it in the right direction.
Yep, for sure. And one of the major threats to wildlife in Australia, not the threat, but one of them is domestic cats. It's a big issue.
Yeah.
So where's everyone protesting about?
Locking
up your cat.
Fair point.
They take out millions and millions of pieces of wildlife every year, and there's a big shift from the government to try and control feral cats out there. Eagles take cats, by the way, and there's a movement to oppose that. Like what the heck?
But again, I try give them that. Their heart hopefully is in the right place. You know what I mean? But there's also a lot of people who are just deceptive and want to be the hero of their story, whether it lines up with reality or not. You just kind of, a lot of people are like, you know what, you have your moment. There are particular birds that are not going extinct, but are at risk in our vicinity, kind of?
Well, not just birds, of course. I think Australia has the highest extinction rate of mammals in the world now. I think it's a fair comment. But a lot of Australian raptors are under big pressure, actually, mostly through habitat loss.
What do we do about that? Like, do we stop humaning?
Chopping trees down?
Stop chopping, I guess, but then stop buying things. I'm not going to stop buying things. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously that wasn't directed at you, but the reality of it is like, what do we do? Like, all right, Macca's changed their straws to paper straws. Thanks, Macca's. Like, what do we really do about... we can't stop civilization, like, moving forward.
Well, we don't have to. It's just how it's managed.
Okay, yep.
Say, for example, housing. That's big on the agenda at the moment. Do we need to be clearing land up in Queensland, to put big suburbs in when there are other ways to house people, and multi-story housing. That's I can go on.
Yeah, there are alternatives.
There has to be a limit to how much we destroy.
Yeah,
and it's still going on today. There are big problems in Victoria with forestry.
Yeah,
we won't get into that, but
no, it's fair enough.
But that there's not much left, and these companies would chop it all down if they could.
I guess. Yeah, I'm just for the record not defending them at all. You got to be real clear on these things.
You don't want to wind me up either.
No. Yeah, I sense that. Maybe not in that direction there. But no, this has been a really good sit down, man. I'm really enjoying this. How can people, whether financially or just mentally, how can people support Full Flight here?
Look, we do, like I was saying before, a lot of public displays. Just get on our website. You'll see it. If you pay to come in and have an encounter with birds, not only do you get a great experience, you help fund it.
Yeah,
and we get our message out there. That's why I'm sitting down having a chat to you. That's what it's about, and hopefully we can give birds like this a better chance in the wild. You know, especially those ones that are under enormous threat.
And yeah, a big thing, as we mentioned earlier, is this like awareness and reframing. You know what I mean? You got to sit down, have these conversations. I've learned so much. It's just to understand. Aside from the cool part of it, there's just so much to learn and understand, and I'm sure there's so much more that to dive into as well. But obviously time is a real thing. Time does exist. But yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm keen to I'm fixated on the party owl. Or did I mishear that? Did I misunderstand that?
No, what are you getting at?
Well, in future, I'd love to.
Yeah. Well, this actually Barnfield is an historic place. On this, a lot of history attached to this property. So the cottage has been a Kathy's dream to turn into the Airbnb or some sort of stay home, Raptor stay. So it's nearly completed inside. Lots and lots of work, but a real exciting journey. So the idea is we'll do our encounters. We'll do some night ones.
Yeah.
The owls are really popular. We've got a ton of nocturnals here. We're breeding them. We'll do some night functions. So the back grass area out there is going to be all lit up, and people will be able to stay the night and hang out with the birds.
Yeah, man. I've seriously got you've like that sounds so interesting, and I've really got my I'm really like, wait, this is a venue. This is a potential venue if I ever want to, in future down the right avenues. Yeah, I think that's awesome. So keep that in mind, people, as well.
Cool.
Yeah, Full Flight Birds of Prey, Graeme. Honestly, thank you for your time. I'm glad we've
Pleasure, mate.
we've crossed paths, man.
Great to have a chat.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
All right.